Welcome back to My Hot Kitchen, where we are all about date night and romantic meals for two. I'm Wendy, and I'll be showing you how to cook up this delicious feast tonight. We're gonna kick it off with homemade French onion soup, and for the main course, we'll feature orange ginger glazed salmon with a mushroom risotto and a nice little zucchini salad on the side. So French onion soup is a very traditional and classic soup. It's also very simple in the fact that it only uses a handful of ingredients. So the difference between French onion soup that is and French onion soup that is amazing is in the ingredients and the preparation. So start with 2 tablespoons of nice butter in a nice hot saucepan. Get it all melted and happy. And keep it on a nice low heat. Next, add 1 small to medium-sized onion that you've sliced into rings. And very slowly caramelize these onions. It's probably going to take about a half hour or so to get the onions to color up. Kind of break up the rings a little bit. Give them a chance to come into contact with the butter. Maintain your heat on a low temperature and watch them turn a beautiful brown color and develop a nice sweet oniony flavor. Well, these onions are beautiful. They're thoroughly caramelized, they're completely soft, and really they're about ready to break apart. A nice slow roasting process has brought out the complete sweetness of them. So let's add a couple more ingredients. I'm going to add about 1 ounce of sherry. You can also substitute about 1 ounce of a mild ale if you prefer, or you can skip it altogether. Go ahead and use the bubbling as an opportunity to scrape all that delicious onion flavor off the bottom of your pan. And also at this point, crack a little fresh black pepper into there. Give it just a moment to sort of blossom on the heat at the bottom of the pan. And then bring in about 14 ounces of nice rich beef stock. Give it a little stir. Let it come up to a boil and then drop it down to a simmer. So while you wait for your soup to do that boiling and then simmering thing, it's a perfect time to prepare a little crouton to go on top of your French onion soup. You'll need a couple slices of French bread, 1 peeled clove of garlic, and about 1 tablespoon of butter. And start by taking your peeled garlic and cutting it in half lengthwise. And then take the garlic, because it's going to be all nice and juicy, and rub your French bread with it. It's going to give it a nice little bit of garlic flavor without being too overpowering. It's going to complement the onions in the soup beautifully. And since you're only using just a little bit of the garlic flavor for this, you can definitely repurpose the clove of garlic for a little bit later in the meal. And then the next step is to spread it very lightly with a little bit of butter and prepare it for the toasting. So any good French onion soup is almost always topped with a nice crisp crouton and loads of melted cheese. So the thing that you want to do is toast all of the moisture out of this bread so that you get that nice crisp crouton. It is going to soak up quite a bit of the soup, so that's why it's important to make sure it's super dry. Got my toaster going over here. I'm just going to pop these in, take them golden brown, and then they will be ready when the soup is ready. And now the soup has reached a nice boil. It's the perfect time to season it. I like to add 1 or 2 drops of Worcestershire sauce and then salt. And I'm going to start by adding about 1/2 teaspoon of salt to see where that takes us. I recommend that when you're choosing a beef stock or making a beef stock that you keep the salt out of it and reserve the salting for the part right before service. Let's give it a little taste here. Oh, that's really nice. Now you may season that to your taste, but whatever you do, once it reaches that boil, turn it down because you don't want to boil those onions into oblivion. Just keep it at a nice hot temperature. Now I'm going to ladle the soup into the bowls here. And be careful not to overfill them, because once I add the crouton in there, which is going to take quite a bit of space, I'm going to melt a little cheese over the top. Grab these nice hot dry toasts and float them right on top of the soup. Cover with about 1 ounce of Swiss cheese. You can use grated or sliced, whatever you have. It all works great. You can also think about substituting Emmentaler or Gruyere or even mozzarella cheese for this. A little garnish with green onion over the top to enhance the onioniness, add a little color. And then capture the heat of the soup and the toast to melt the cheese by placing a little cover over it for about 1 to 2 minutes. So this classic and elegant soup is a perfect combination of sweet roasted onions and rich beef broth. The perfect start to your romantic dinner with your sweetie. Oh, that looks really tasty right there. Just love how the slightly melted cheese sits on top of there. Now this is ready to serve to your sweetie.
And here is your sweetie.
Ah, hi.
Oh, look at this.
Soup.
Yummy.
Good stretch. Do you like it?
Outstanding.
Yeah?
Yes.
He likes it.
That's so yummy and so rich. Oh, the broth was so rich.
You know, stock making is something that I feel like has been lost in today's modern day kitchens, and it's really important to building flavor and complexity into your dishes. In addition, when you make something yourself, you get the chance to put your love into it. That's why I think it's important to learn how to make homemade stock. So check our website, hotkitchenonline.com, and look for our blog on stock cookery. And now it's time to move into the salad. So I have a special little salad for tonight. And what we're going to do that makes it special is you're going to allow the vegetables, the zucchini, the whole diced up tomato, a couple sliced up scallions, and some dried fruit. Tonight I'm using about 1/8 of a cup of sliced up apricots. And what you're going to do is let those marinate in a little vinegar, which allows the vegetables the chance to sort of marinate and macerate and release all their flavors. So I'm going to give that a little toss here. That was 2 ounces of cider vinegar that I chose to use tonight. And at this point, I'm also going to add in a little dollop of Dijon mustard. It's going to add a little complexity. It's going to help the vinegar to develop a little thickness and sort of stick to the vegetables while they do their thing. And you want to get this started before you get going on the main course. And also at this first stage of the salad building, you want to add a nice generous amount of salt and pepper. That also helps the vegetables sort of break down and macerate and kind of cook in the vinegar. All right, we can set that aside now and move on to the risotto. So the first thing that I'm going to do with the risotto is actually start the mushrooms browning. I have a preheated saute pan that I'm going to add a little olive oil to, and these beautiful quartered mushrooms. I'm going to place them all in the pan with one side down. While the oil comes up to temperature, it will result in a nice brown sear on the mushrooms. You see how I'm placing them in here kind of gingerly, and there's a reason for that I will get a much better looking and tasting result if I give the mushrooms a little space. So I'm just going to scoot them all in here, making sure that each one of them has full contact with the flat surface of the pan. And slide it around a little bit, make sure that olive oil gets the chance to come into contact with the mushrooms, and let them be for about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, get the risotto started, because that's going to take quite a while as well. Also adding olive oil to a nice big hot saute pan here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is add a clove of garlic Actually, that same clove of garlic I used for the crouton, and a little bit of minced up ginger. And I'm gonna give that a quick little saute here. Just enough time to infuse the oil with the flavors of the ginger and the garlic. Right as I smell it becoming very aromatic, I'm gonna go ahead and add a half cup of arborio rice, which is the rice most commonly used for risotto. And I'm gonna saute that as per pilaf for just a moment, allowing that infused olive oil to coat each and every grain of rice. And then it's time to start adding stock. So I have about 14 ounces of very hot fish stock here. I'm gonna add it just a couple ounces at a time. Pretty much continually stirring the risotto from start to finish to get that creamy, delicious result. I'm gonna keep my heat on a nice medium-low temperature so the risotto cooks before it evaporates out all of the stock. So the first round of stock that I put in there has pretty much been absorbed up, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. Continue stirring, putting lots and lots of love into it. Looks like the mushrooms are ready for a little love now. Let's see how they're doing. Oh yes, that's just what you want to see. So go ahead and rotate those if you cut them in quarters like I did. And allow them to come about that same color on the other side. It should be much faster because the mushroom has already been heated through. In the meanwhile, more stirring on the risotto. Let's see how those mushrooms are doing. The color looks fantastic on the other side. It's a perfect match. So I'm going to get these out of the pan. And I'm actually going to use this pan for the glaze for the salmon. So I'm going to give it a quick wash here. You know, when you have your favorite pan, you just want to keep using it over and over again. So I'm going to give that just a moment to get heated up here. And I will grab the orange juice, the brown sugar, and the ginger, which I'm totally going to need to make the glaze for the salmon. In the meantime, more stirring on the risotto. And it's time for a little more stock. Yummy. It's going to be really tasty and creamy and delicious. Bought myself a second or two at a time there. So now I'm going to work on the glaze again. I have a teaspoon of cornstarch and I'm going to whisk it into the juice of a fresh orange. You can also substitute a half cup orange juice. It's important to whisk the cornstarch into the juice when it's cold because if you do it when it's hot, you're going to get lumps. And that's no good for a nice glaze like this. So once you see all those lumps are gone, you're good to go ahead and add it to your pan here. And while it comes up to temperature, add your 1/8 of a cup of brown sugar and grate a little fresh ginger into it. And there is the ginger. Put that in there. Give this a quick little whisk. And what I'm looking for is for it to come up to a boil and sort of clarify. Meanwhile, back to the risotto. Stirring, stirring, stirring lovingly to activate all those proteins and make it smooth and creamy and delicious. Risotto is about love and patience. You have to be patient while it accepts your love over a period of 20 to 25 minutes. The end result is amazing and second to none. And it looks like the orange glaze is just approaching a boil now, so I'm going to start whisking that again for a few minutes. Want to see it thicken and clarify, and wow, you can smell that ginger coming out. That is beautiful. It's just about time to get the rest of dinner going, so I'm going to add a little stock into my risotto here, give it a little stir, level it out in the pan, and then it's time to dress the salmon with a little bit of lemon juice. Helps to kill any fishy flavor that might be there. Also helps to kill any bacteria that you wouldn't want to feed your sweetie. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my hot broiler pan out of the oven. I like to preheat the broiler pan because it gives a nice sear on the bottom of the salmon that you just don't normally get with a broil. So now take the salmon, place it on there, listen for that nice sizzle. Grab the sauce and brush a little bit of that lovingly over the top of the salmon. Nice little glaze. Wow, that smells really good. And because it's hot, I'm gonna need my hot mitt. Back into the broiler. Set my broiler on its lowest temperature. And then the next step, the croutons for the salad. I treated these exactly the same way that I treated the croutons for the French onion soup. Only I sliced the bread much thinner, so it's going to crisp up very nicely. More stirring on the risotto. Adding in the last little bit of the fish stock here. And with that, I'm also going to add in some seasoning, a little bit of salt, and a nice little amount of black pepper. Wow, this smells so good, and look how creamy it's becoming. You can see those beautiful little flecks of ginger and garlic in there, working their magic. Yum. Now it's time to finally start adding the coconut milk into the risotto. Again, using the same little bit of a time philosophy. Also make sure it's pre-warmed. And to really enhance the flavor of the coconut milk, still a little bit of that orange glaze for the salmon and drop it in the risotto. It's going to add a little bit of sweetness that makes the coconut just sort of pop. Stir that loveliness in. Yum. Getting nice and creamy and rich and delicious. A little bit more of this yumminess. Give it a little taste here and see how the flavor is developing. That is really, really tasty. So good. This would be the point where you'd want to adjust your seasonings if you don't feel like you have enough salt in there. This is your last chance. Now let's get those croutons out of the toaster. Yummy. Those are hot. Those are going to need a few minutes to cool before they're ready to be cracked over the top of the salad. A little bit more coconut milk. Make sure you reserve about a tablespoon or so to pour into it right before service. Now it's time to go get the salmon out of the oven. Ooh, now that looks delicious. Now while it's still really hot, I'm going to hit it with some more of that glaze. Lovely little salmon. Love it up with a little bit more of the yummy orange ginger glaze. Just makes it shiny and beautiful if you apply it at the last minute as well. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and put a little chiffonata spinach on my salad plates here. It's going to serve as the bed of greens underneath the zucchini salad. Just putting the finishing touches on the risotto now. I'm going to fold those delicious sauteed mushrooms into it at this point. By folding them in at the end, you help them to maintain their integrity as a vegetable. And you also maintain a separation of flavors between the creamy, rich risotto and the browned mushrooms. I'm gonna go ahead and add that last little bit of coconut milk now. And this is the final stir here. Taking it off the heat, and bringing it over here for plating. Beautiful. Wow, that looks really yummy. So rich and flavorful. Next thing is to put the salmon on top. And as I take the salmon off the broiler pan, I'm going to slide my spoon underneath the fillet and separate it from its skin. Placing it right on top of the risotto. There we go. Come on. There we are, my little pretty. And then the salad. One more quick little toss in the dressing here. Scoop it on top of your greens. Be sure to scoop up plenty of the beautiful tomatoes. Whoa. And then drizzle the salad dressing over the top, just to add that extra little punch of flavor. Break apart the crouton over the top of the salad. Nice little bite-sized chunks. So nice job. You just whipped up a delicious salmon and risotto plate worthy of any fine restaurant. Serve this up with a nice food-friendly white wine. Think Riesling or Pinot Gris. Find something that's not too sweet and not too dry. Now call in your sweetie and share your dinner with them. So long, apron.
Love you. Wow, this looks so good. Yum.
A little risotto, a little yummy salmon, a little crisp salad on the side.
Wow. You have outdone yourself once again. This is such a hot kitchen.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen tonight. Have fun turning up the heat in your kitchen, and I'll see you next week. Night night.